YouTube, what a YouTube, Down Home News TV. I am your host, Dre. And we got a video coming from Stephen A. Smith. I guess it's his actual television show. Speaking on the migrant crisis and his opinions about the 2024 election. And I wouldn't say it's surprising, being that he's from New York, but I've seen the video already, and yeah, let's just get into it, and I'll commentate throughout.
To a show, a subject matter that's very, very important that I think is necessary before I get into the tweets and close out today's show. Ladies and gentlemen, Trump's going to get reelected. Donald Trump's going to be the next president of the United States. If this kind of stuff that I'm reading continues to happen in American cities, Donald Trump is a shoo-in for re-election.
He says that like it's a bad thing. I don't know why he would think it's a bad thing. We already had him as president before, but things weren't as horrible as people made it seem out to be. But let's continue.
Even if he's a convicted felon.
Oh,
And that's a damn shame.
He's a convicted felon.
But somebody got to say it, so I'm going to say it. Did you read the story coming out of New York City? Did you read it? Involving Mayor Adams, Eric Adams, who I'm a fan of, by the way. I like him. But I don't like the story that I read over the weekend. And I think it's a story that can't be ignored. And it's talking about how $53 million in prepaid credit cards are in the process of being distributed to migrant families. Now I understand what people are thinking about, what they're wondering about here. Because they're saying to themselves, what's the problem if you're on the left? There's a big problem if you're on the right. No, it ain't that simple. We have to understand that we don't want people eating out of garbage cans. We don't want people starving. We don't want people separated from their children separated from their parents. We don't want this. We don't want to be cruel and inhumane. But illegal immigration has become incredibly pervasive since the Biden administration has taken office. We all know that he's capitulated to the extreme left. And even though we wouldn't say specifically and definitively that the borders are open, every time you turn around, particularly in states like Texas and Arizona, and to a lesser degree, California, it is an extreme problem. Well, guess where else it's a problem? It's a problem in New York City, my home. And I got to tell you something right now. If it wasn't for my daughter being there, I'd be gone. Don't like what I'm seeing. But it's not just because of migrants or illegal immigration. It's because it's mayhem. Folks don't know how to act. It's not an accident that the former president keeps bringing up law and order, law and order, law and order, because those are catchwords. Those are the kind of things that make you go to the polls and vote out of fear. And it works. Throughout history, it has worked. But now this is a different kind.
Just to comment on that, he said law and order, and they're using that to instill fear in the voters to go to the polls. Them being the right, or Trump's people. But isn't that what they did prior to him being elected? During his election, throughout his whole presidency. And all of the things that they predicted he would do didn't come to fruition. And we've already seen him as a president before. And a lot of people agree with the results that he provided the U.S. But it's the same thing. I heard somebody else saying that Democrats use sympathy and what was the exact thing they said? The right uses fear to move voters, and the left uses compassion, sympathy, something like that, something to that extent. But throughout his whole campaigning, all you see is negative connotations about the president with his temperament, what he would do if he had the codes to the nuclear weapons. And like I said before, we've seen him through his presidency, nothing happened, and things were pretty good under his administration. And it seemed like they had to create problems throughout his whole administration to make him look like a bad president. Now, vice versa, you can't say that about the current administration.
Kind of fear, but a fear tinged with frustration. Because when you hear about migrants receiving $53 million in prepaid credit cards, the Eric Adams administration in the mayor's office in New York City will tell you it's going to save about $600,000 a month. But that's not how poor people are looking at it. You know what black poor people are looking at it like? You know what Latinos who happen to be poor that arrived in this country are looking at it like? Where that money come from us? I could have used it. I could use the extra $500 a month. I could use the extra $1,000 a month. I could do that. They want to sit up there. I just want to read some of this stuff to you because I want to make sure that we put it in its proper context. New York City will soon launch a $53 million pilot program to hand out prepaid credit cards to migrant families housed in hotels, according to the report. The New York Post has reported that 500 migrant families at the Roosevelt Hotel will receive prepaid cards to help them buy food. The program is intended to replace the current food service provided there, the Post reported. A spokesperson for Eric Adams said, quote, not only will this provide families with the ability to purchase fresh food for their culturally relevant diets and the baby supplies of their choosing, but the pilot program is expected to save New York City more than $600,000 per month and more than $7.2 million annually. Here are the stipulations. Migrants eligible for the program must sign an affidavit stating they will only spend the funds on food and baby supplies or else they will lose access to funds, the report said. Another stipulation, the amount available to each family depends on their size and how much income they are receiving, according to a contract reviewed by the Post. A family of four might be provided nearly $1,000 each month or $35 per day for food. If the pilot program is a success with the initial 500 migrant families, it'll be expanded to all migrant families staying in hotels, which is currently at $15,000, according to this report. More than 150,000 migrants have arrived in New York City since
Migrants staying in hotels, but yet they don't have shelter, room, and board for our homeless veterans. They could just give migrants a free pass. Oh, here's a nice hotel. Go stay in it for a while. We'll foot the bill.
2022 overwhelming city resources as Texas Governor Greg Abbott has bused asylum seekers to New York. Now, there are people who are absolutely appalled by that, playing around with lives. Fair enough. Mayor Adams has decried the bust arrivals as a humanitarian crisis and said that providing food and housing for the migrants will cost about $12 billion over 3 years. Adams traveled to Latin America on a tour to dissuade potential migrants in Mexico, Colombia, and Ecuador from attempting to come to the city, saying the city, quote, is at capacity, end quote. Let me say this to Mayor Eric Adams, who I respect. That may be one of the dumbest things I've ever heard a politician do. You're going to...
That's why we end up in these situations with politicians that aren't standing up for their citizens, because I'm pretty sure he voted for him because he likes him. and not looking into his policies and what he's actually proposing to do. And that's what that's what we gotta get out of the habit of doing just because somebody's black or fit the description of a person we would like leading us. We gotta stop voting like that and look at their policies.
Travel to a country that's starving, that's desolate, that's impoverished, that's desperate to come to the United States of America, and you're going to beg them not to cross borders into the United States and end up in New York City rather than going to politicians right here in America from different states like the Abbotts of the world, the DeSantis's in Florida, Arizona, and beyond, and talking and negotiating with them? You're going to go to citizens and politicians in Latin America, Mexico, Colombia, and Ecuador to ask them for assistance? Have you lost your ever-loving mind?
Just thought about it. He can't really complain because he's living in a sanctuary city, and now they're understanding what a sanctuary city means.
Makes no sense. That's about the worst plan I ever heard in my damn life. Why would they listen to you if they're desolate and starving and in desperate need? So much so that they come here, and even for $1,000 a month, that's exponentially better than whatever conditions they're facing in their respective countries. Why would they listen? It comes down to us and being able to work together as a nation, and clearly that's not the case. And so when you have this kind of mayhem going on, which, by the way, doesn't surprise me at all because it's an election year, and usually this stuff gets highlighted and illuminated even more during election time. That's how they like it. So you can pick and choose.
During Trump's administration or presidency, they're saying the border was an issue. That's not even his people, not even the Trump administration. The rhinos and liberals, they were saying that, oh, there's no border issues, blah, blah, blah. When I believe at one of Trump's his little campaign tours or speeches to the public, he showed video of immigrants coming across the border with what appeared to be drugs. But
what it came down to for me is this. I see homeless folks in the streets of New York all the time that are American citizens. I damn sure see them in California. We've got poor, impoverished, starving people who were born and raised in this nation. How in the hell do we come up with a $53 million pilot program for illegals, but folks who are here legally are born here, we don't have enough of them? Just like we could come up with billions for Ukraine, but somehow, some way, we can't fix the homeless problem. I'm down for helping Israel. I'm down for helping address the situations with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, okay? I'm down for helping the Ukrainians and fighting off Russia. What about poor and desolate citizens here? How the hell do you print money for foreign countries, but you don't print that money to help eradicate folks that are starving right here in the streets of America who were born and raised here? This is what I'm talking about. And so when you have something like that, what's the one way to eradicate it? Yes, you got to have a flourishing economy. Yes, you can't have inflation. Yes, you can't be on the verge of a recession. Milk don't need to cost $7. Bread don't need to cost $5. Don't get me started with how much sugar costs. You can talk about employment all you want to. You can talk about the labor participation rate. But guess what? If you ain't making no damn money and you got to get...
Most people have no clue that in 2023, the best way to make money on Amazon is not with physical products.
better late than never.
It's
I'm glad he's
Amazon's
finally
other
coming
company,
to his senses about
Audible. Audible pays me
certain
$8,000 to
situations.
$10,000 every
Now,
single
like that,
month
that
for
hopefully
passive
this
income.
expands his
And I'm not
horizon
the only
into
one. People like Katrina, and
actually
Carla, Elena, Renee,
looking into the
all
policies
making
that the
thousands
people
of
he
dollars a
support
month in passive income.
are about.
get two jobs to pay the same prices or to buy the same amount of stuff that you used to buy and the price is higher than it used to be because of inflation, then guess what? What are you really accomplishing? That's why Trump is on the verge of getting elected, reelected. Because when
I can't tell if he's happy about it or upset. Y'all let me know in the comment section.
he was in office, there was a flourishing economy. There's a whole bunch of other problems. Whole bunch of other problems. And I personally think his return to the presidency is going to be civil war in this country because he's going to be desensitized to bringing anybody together because he's going to be on a revenge tour to get back at everybody who went against him. And I think it could be the worst possible thing for the country. But I can't.
Like he was saying about Republicans use fear to get voters to the polls. Same thing with the other side.
Blame 50 Cent.
That's a major talking point. Just fear porn, I believe. I don't know. If I was him going through all the stuff he went through, I'd probably want some revenge too, but...
For example, when he sits up there and he's tweeting, Eric Adams, I need you to explain this to me. What the hell is going on? Maybe we should consider Trump. When he says something like that, like you can see right here, what he's saying when he said it on his social media page, I can't blame 50 Cent for that. You want to sit up there and excoriate Ice Cube now? When he didn't pick sides in 2020? When he wasn't telling you to vote for Biden or Trump, he was just saying, yo, I want to present a plan for black America and see who's willing to listen. And Trump gave the okay and the impression he was willing to listen. You want to call Ice Cube a sellout now? Trump got 12% of the black vote in 2016. He got 16% of the black vote in 2020. They're projecting he's going to get more than 20% of the black vote in this upcoming election. That's what they're saying. And who's to say black folks would be wrong to vote for him? I told y'all before, I am no Republican. I voted for one Republican in my life. That's Governor Chris Christie in New Jersey because I thought that Corzine was a disaster. I voted for Clinton. I voted for Al Gore. I voted for Barack Obama twice. I voted for Biden, despite the crime bill that incarcerated a whole bunch of people in the 90s that looked like me. I shoved all of that aside. All of it.
I ain't gonna lie, I voted for Obeezy twice too.
Because I knew how divisive Trump would be. But as we sit here now, and we watch something like this transpire, where there seems to be more rapt attention being paid to folks who are not even here illegally, nor are from this country, yet we want to turn around and ignore us. Black folks, Latinos, and beyond, who are impoverished and are in need. We know why you're doing it. Because you want that voting block. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, what did I say years ago when I used to give speeches and say I wish for at least one election, everybody vote, every black person in America votes Republican? Remember when I used to say that? You know why I used to say it? Because you'd have to flatter us from that point forward. You couldn't just take the black vote for granted. You'd have to show us what you're bringing for us, what you're delivering to the table. And oh, by the way, it's not just addressing recidivism in the prison system. We need more than that. We deserve more than that. And we certainly don't deserve to be ignored because others who are in this country.
That's basically it, but let me know y'all's thoughts and opinions on the situation. Finally, there's a little fire under some of these celebrities' behind about what's going on in this country. And like, comment, subscribe, share down on News TV.